Have you ever really thought about how the internet works? I mean, how it actually knows where to send that email or that video you're trying to watch. Well, it all boils down to a digital address system, and that's exactly what we're going to break down today.
Welcome to Super Courseva. Unlock the secrets of the internet and master computer networking. Let's dive in.
Okay, I'm pretty sure you've seen a number that looks something like this before. You know, it might pop up when your Wi-Fi is acting weird, or you might see it buried deep in your network settings. But have you ever stopped to ask, what on earth is that thing? Well, that string of numbers is basically your address on the internet. It's how Netflix knows to send The Office to your laptop and not your neighbor's. But here's the weird part, the real mystery. Unlike your home address, this one isn't permanent, not even close. It's constantly changing. And to understand why, we first have to learn the basic rules of the game. So let's dive right in. Let's take a look at the anatomy of one of these addresses. What are the fundamental rules that every single one of them has to follow? Okay, so under the hood, at its absolute core, an IP address is just a 32-bit number. That's it. To a computer, it's just a super long string of 32 ones and zeros. It's a language they get, but for us humans, yeah, that's pretty much gibberish. So to keep our brains from melting, that long 32-bit number gets chopped up into 4 smaller, more manageable chunks. Each chunk is called an octet. Fancy word, right? Because it's made of 8 bits. And this gives us that familiar format we all know. 4 numbers separated by dots. Now, here's the most important rule you need to know. Because each of those 4 numbers is made from only 8 bits, the absolute highest number any one of them can be is 255. That's the magic limit. It's a hard and fast rule, and there are absolutely no exceptions. So let's do a quick pop quiz. What if you saw an address like this one, 123.456.789.100? Could that be a real address? No way! It is 100% fake. Why? Because those 2 numbers in the middle, 456 and 789, they are way over that 255 limit. See? It's as simple as that. All right, so now we get the rules for a single address. Let's zoom out and look at the big picture. How does this whole system, with billions of addresses, stay organized? Well, it helps to think of it kind of like a giant digital version of the post office. Now, a really important thing to understand is that IP addresses are not random at all. Your phone or laptop has another number called a MAC address, and that's kind of like a random serial number that never changes. But an IP address, that's totally different. It's part of a very organized system. Probably the best way to picture this is to imagine all the IP addresses in the world as huge plots of digital land. The entire map of the internet is carved up and assigned to different companies and organizations. For instance, get this. IBM owns the entire block of IP addresses that starts with the number 9. That means any address from 9.0.0.0 all the way up to 9.255.255.255, every single one belongs to IBM. That's a huge chunk of digital real estate. So why does the internet do this? It all comes down to one word: speed. Imagine a router in London gets a little packet of data that's headed for 9.0.0.1. That router doesn't have to search the whole internet for that one specific computer. Nope, it just looks at the first number, the 9, and basically says, oh, that's an IBM zip code. And boom, it zips the packet over to IBM's main network and lets them handle the final delivery. It's incredibly efficient. And this brings us right back to our original mystery. Why does your address keep changing? Honestly, what we're about to cover is probably the single most misunderstood concept in all of networking. But once you get it, everything clicks into place. So here it is. The golden rule you absolutely need to remember is that there is a massive difference between your physical device, your laptop, and your location on a network. They are 2 totally separate things. So let's break that down. Remember that MAC address we mentioned? That's your device's permanent name, kind of like a serial number stamped on it at the factory. It belongs to the hardware itself. But your IP address? That's completely temporary. It doesn't belong to your device at all. It belongs to whatever network you're connected to at that moment. The absolute best way to get your head around this is the hotel room analogy. Okay, so think of your laptop as you. You have a permanent name, right? That's your MAC address. Now, when you connect to your Wi-Fi at home, that's like checking into a hotel. The network gives you an IP address, which is like the hotel giving you the key to room 101. For a while, that's your address. But then you pack up and go to a coffee shop. You've checked out of the hotel. At the cafe, their Wi-Fi gives you a totally new IP address. You are no longer room 101. You are now table 5. It's the same you, same laptop, just a different temporary address for a different location. And that, right there, is the big aha moment. You never actually own your IP address. You're just renting it, borrowing it from whatever network you happen to be visiting, whether it's your home, your office, or that coffee shop. So, that just leaves one last piece of the puzzle, doesn't it? If you're renting these addresses, who's the landlord? How does a network actually hand out these temporary numbers in the first place? Well, it happens in two main ways. For almost all of us with our laptops and phones, it's dynamic. There's an automatic process called DHCP. You don't need to remember that. Just know that when you connect, your device basically asks the router, hey, can I have an address? And the router hands one out. The other way is static, where a number is programmed in manually and it never changes. That's reserved for the important stuff, like servers or printers. And when you think about it, that makes perfect sense. You absolutely do not want the room number for your company's important file server to change every single day. You need to know exactly where to find that critical piece of equipment all the time. It can't be checking into a new hotel room every morning. Which brings us to one final fascinating question to think about. If your IP address is really just a temporary borrowed location, a fleeting thing like a hotel room number or a table at a cafe, then what is your real permanent identity online? It's a question that gets to the very heart of how the internet truly sees you.